Hey everyone, and welcome to Signals from the Frontline, your every Wednesday live broadcast brought to you here by Frontline Gaming. We are your hosts, Kicker, the Chief of Serial, and Sigilite of the FLG. Nicky Dee, who just disappeared. There he is, Flannel Flan and producer extraordinaire, and I'm Seth the Mad Dok, your competitive correspondent. Guys, how have you been doing?
Doing swell. If you are listening to our podcast, please consider watching us live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can share our hobby progress. If you're watching, you get to see this stuff. Here, let's bring in my hobby progress. I'm really proud. I have, yes. Do you know what those are? Do you know what those are, Seth? What do those look like to you? They are Kroot, but they are actually Tanith Ghost. They are my Gaunt's Ghost squad. I thought that the Gaunt's Ghost in the new codex have like completely just random rules that I love. Like they're so different than anything else in the codex. I'm like, why use boring old humans when I can use these kick-ass Kroot
Because
models?
that's heretical.
Well, like my mercenaries, they're cool. I got to paint like some different like hair stuff thing going on there.
Where's an Inquisitor when you need one?
Yeah, right. Oh, geez. Yeah, those are my Kroot using the I guess the kin band, whatever they're called from Kill Team. So big
Kill
fan
team,
of that.
right?
Yeah, Kill Team. I'm a big fan of those models, so I wanted to use them. So yeah, just finished those up this afternoon, and they will be hitting the table this weekend for my first tourney in like a couple months. So very excited. Yeah, guys. Oh yeah, if you're in chat, please you can tell me your thoughts on my paint job. I put a lot of time into this.
Heretical he is.
I'm not heretical. They're mercenaries. We're just using them. We're sending them to die.
Everyone in chat agrees with me.
Everyone in chat, shut up, chat. All right.
Seth, real quick. Yeah. What do you think? Are there enough bright colors in Kicker's paint job here?
I mean, he tried with the quills to be a little bit brighter with the yellow, but you know,
there's like a little turquoise like jewelry on there. Like it's very little, but it's on there. I promise.
I wanted to call it out that hey, any progress, no matter how big or small, should be celebrated. So Kicker, we are proud of you for some personal growth.
Your gems and yellow quills.
He sounds like my math teachers, basically. You know, going from
like you got the problem wrong, but you tried.
I tried. Well, thank you, Nicky Dee. Seth, what have you been up to this weekend? I know that you had a big project that you
so I showed it off before. I have a little Mad Dok sculpt made for 3D printing. Well, I decided that I really wanted to kind of push the limits of 3D printing after our discussion last episode. And so I decided to try to print the largest print I could do on my machine in a single go. So I scaled up my Mad Dok model to 400%. And if those of you that have met me in person, I am a fairly large man and my hands are not so small. And that is my Mad Dok compared to my hand. There were a few hiccups in the process. That was actually the third attempt at printing him. But I definitely, I had to troubleshoot the machine and learn a little bit, but now I've tackled a model of that scale. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out. There's like one little imperfection in his claw that, if you don't know, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know, but otherwise I'm happy with it. So I'm going to start working on that. Not next week though, because I am preparing for a work trip. I leave Friday morning and I get back next Thursday. So I'm going to be gone next week. So no hobbying for me for the next week or so. But after that, you'll see me getting back in the swing of things. Nicky Dee, what have you been up to?
I mentioned last week that I was going to be on work travel, and Kicker, I think my work is only sending me to locations where FLG has events. I was in Vegas 2 weeks ago. This past week I was in San Diego, which I love. So that was great. But yeah, I was out there with travel for about 5 days, so that meant no hobby progress. However, guys, last week I noted that I was probably going to watch John Wick 4, Chapter 4, on the flight, either to or from San Diego. I did watch John Wick 4 yesterday on my flight home. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was great. I mean, I love Keanu Reeves. I love all the John Wick movies. Was not my favorite. Just like a couple weeks ago when I talked about Mission Impossible, the latest movie, not my favorite, but was still good, was still fun, had a great time with it. So I'm okay with that. And then this morning I started watching Foundation on Apple TV.
What is that?
You don't know about Foundation?
No.
Seth, do you know about Foundation? All right, Foundation.
No, it's
TV.
You mean Silo? You mean Silo?
No, Foundation. It's it's actually one of like the oldest and most recognized sci-fi book series.
Okay.
But they have a season. Well, couple. It's written by Isaac Asimov, so one of the most prolific sci-fi writers. But yeah, this was an old book series. Apple did season 1 of it maybe 2 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. Season 2 started earlier this year, so I've been checking that out.
Cool.
So I'm coming along.
We have to, explore something really fast, and chat, feel free to chime in as well. Nicky Dee, Seth, both of you have mentioned work trips recently. I don't know if you're traveling with colleagues from work or not, but Seth, you first. Do your work people, do your colleagues, your peers, do they know that you have this deep dark secret that is 40K geekiness? Like, do people know that this is your okay? This is what you do when you go home?
I fly that particular flag.
Yeah.
My work keychain.
Yeah.
I have like my personal keychain, and then I have like all my work keys. My work keychain, I have a Space Marine on because I'm 95% certain that if I leave my keys somewhere, no one else has a Space Marine on the keychain.
No, it's yours.
And then like my work cup that I like carry around and always drink is like a Warzone Atlantic cup.
Oh, perfect.
Because again, no one else is gonna have that cup,
one's drinking out of your coffee. Nicky Dee, what about you? Do your peers have any idea what you didn't know?
Oh yeah, if anything, I probably overshare about it. I'm being honest. Yeah, I'm very open. But I work for a tech company, guys, and I mean, kicker, how many times at an FLG event were you just talking with people and hey, what do you do? And there's people who work for this, that.
Yeah.
Lots of people who work for tech companies are general nerds. So I mean, there's a number of people in my company that do not actively play Warhammer, but they did as a kid, or even I had one of my coworkers asking me about Warhammer Plus, and like, hey, is it worth it just for me to buy that just to watch some of the stuff? And just right now, Warhammer Plus, if you're not aware, has a bunch of their shows that are free to access and watch. So I sent him a link for that, where like, hey, go check it out, check out some of the stuff. And even I've sent him some of the streams as it goes to War Games Live. For like, hey, are you interested in Warhammer and seeing what it's like to play live? So I'm very open about it. My background when I'm on video for my work job, my display cabinet with my miniatures are there as well. So sometimes sometimes last be like, what's that thing? Can you show that? So I get into a lot of specifics with it.
Yeah, at Frontline Gaming, obviously everyone knows we all play 40K, but I'm pretty sure that you have to, like, that's part of your requirement is you have to be a fan of tabletop wargaming. I think there's like one guy that works in the back of the warehouse, maybe one guy that also works in production that like don't give a damn about tabletop wargaming, but pretty much everyone else lives and breathes this stuff. So that is a requirement to join us. We're talking about Warhammer Plus. Before we talk about Warhammer Plus, I want to go to other industry news, starting off with this Meta Watch that was released. Seth, this is more your level of expertise here. Do you want to give us a quick, TLDR on the recent Meta Watch regarding 40K?
Yeah, so they released kind of updated faction win percentages. Unfortunately, not a significant change from before the July FAQs. They had some data that they released early on in July. So I think particularly after their event in Tacoma, they had released a Meta Watch. So not a big change, even with the changes to Fate Dice and to a few FAQs and points changes, like for towering units getting points changes. So it doesn't look like too much of a shift. They did say that points and balancing are coming after Nova in September. And they did point out some of the lower performing factions can probably look forward to some sort of bump up. It'd be interesting to see kind of what that bump takes a shape as, because so far, minus the Fate Dice change, they really haven't touched rules changes.
Yeah,
between that, I think it's just Fate Dice, and then the GSC have to come within 3 inches of their blips. So it'll be interesting to see if they do maybe a wider rules adjustment or if it's mostly just points adjustments. But they are definitely keeping an eye on that and watching that data. And hopefully come September, we've had, LSO, Tacoma, WTC, Nova. So we will have a good amount of large events.
Yeah.
To really draw that data.
But you're right, Seth. The primary, I guess, tools they've been using right now to adjust armies is points and unit size, really. So I know they did unit size, but
and unit size, unfortunately, with the way they've written the points edition, doesn't give us too much flexibility. It's basically multiples of boxes. It's either 1 box, 2 box, or if you have a box, it's like a few guys and a character. There's a little bit of funky numbers there, but it is generally kind of more blocks that you're buying in. So it'll be interesting to see how because they've experimented with some interesting points things that I think they could do. So if you go look at how the points are broken down right now, Kicker, Can you do guardsman units of 20?
You can.
So if you look at the points per model on a 10-man unit versus a 20-man unit is the exact same.
Identical. And you get 2 sergeants in the squad of 20.
So, but if you go back to 9th edition Tau, where they could take multiple guns on the same crisis suit, they had an escalating point per gun cost.
Oh.
So like the first gun was 5 points, the second gun was 10 points, the third gun was 15 points. So they might, part of a way they could look at balancing is saying, hey, I'm going to pick on the guard squad, not that it's actually a broken unit, but sake of argument, let's say the first 10 guardsmen you buy are this points, and the second one, the points per model go up.
Yeah.
So now the squad costs more than just buying 2 separate small squads. And from a buff standpoint, that makes it a bit harder to buff up the super unit.
Yeah.
So
the blast keyword is doing a really good job of keeping units down. Like it is a nice counter,
but like a 10-man Desolator squad right now, you put a character in there. I forget the exact name of the rule, but basically they get critical hits on 5, so they get exploding 5s, and so you do a 10-man because you want as many guns. What's like they could do something where it's like the 5-man is still the base points, but the 10-man is maybe like a 150% cost. So it's like yes, you could still do a 10-man, but you're going to pay a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, good. Is this chat calling this out, or is this Nicky Dee? I can't see. I see your notes popping
Nicky
up.
Dee.
Nicky Dee. You want to chime in? This is your. You make this comment. This is great.
Oh yeah. So it's really kind of two items to some degree, but as it goes for scaling, Seth, you're talking about points and unit size, but 9th edition. We also had some stratagems that had scaling cost.
Yeah.
So if a unit is a certain size, it's 1 command point. But it's, let's say, like a unit of I know this exists for Death Guard as an example in 9th, where if you have a unit of Terminators, a 5 or below, like 5 or below, it's 1 command point. You get like 6 or higher, it goes to 2 command points, right? You need to spend more of a resource to do that. Or this was when it was power level for some of the things, right? Where hey, if a unit, right, using a stratagem for, let's say, Eldari, using a stratagem for Phantasm on Warp Spiders versus a Wraith Knight,
totally
right?
I like it.
Those are parts where I have no inclination to say, hey, what Games Workshop is going to do, but that is a mechanic from 9th edition for scaling and fairness that I would actually like to see brought into 10th a little bit.
That's really cool. I like that.
Could be pretty easily done. So we'll see.
So we don't know what they're going to do with the rules, but we're getting some teasers about what they're doing with Warhammer Plus. A new season starts on August 25th. There's some new shows. Necron, Space Marine, Sisters of Battle, Chaos Knights have all been teased. We've got nothing about Age of Sigmar teased, which is kind of weird because Age of Sigmar's got a real renaissance going on right now, so I'm kind of surprised. 3rd anniversary minis. We've saw some silhouettes. We got those little teasers there. Guys, I got goosebumps. I'm pretty sure that was a guard. It looked like a definitely looked like a hell gun right there.
It definitely struck me as a Tempestus.
Tempestus Scion, or maybe
of some
a
sort.
the
it could be a character. It could be some sort of elite stormtrooper look.
Oh my gosh! And what do you guys think for Age of Sigmar? Did you see that silhouette? What did you think? No,
I think
it is Age of Sigmar. I can tell you that
it is. I think it's a soul. I think it's going to be a Soulblight Gravelord, the vampire, and everything else like that.
Okay.
There's some folks that have pointed out it could be a number of variety of things, but it looks like it's holding a sword and then some sort of cup or chalice.
Yeah.
Which the cup or chalice to me says vampire drinking blood.
Those miniatures are so.
Or what if it's Bretonnian like Lady of the Lake?
Oh, okay, I'll go with that.
I'd be in. Yeah. That would immediately be collector item for me.
These like Warhammer Plus exclusive minis are really, really cool. I see them every now and then pop up at the Frontline Gaming secondhand shop, and I am guilty of buying one of each already. I really like them. So GW pre-orders this week. Looks like Space Marine, the Vanguard Task Force is going up. That seems like old, right? Like that seems like it was from
but the suppressors in this kit.
Yeah.
The only way you could get them before was in the 8th edition starter set or in this Vanguard box. So they have reproduced this box, and so those models are now available again. Not that they're super like OP or meta defining, but it was an odd omission from the Space Marine range.
Yeah. So you get those things. You get a bunch of other. I guess you got the sniper guys in there too, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, Blade Guard. I don't know. You get a bunch of cool stuff. No, you don't get Blade Guard. It's all like Phobos stuff, right? Or
it's a whole Phobos unit.
Okay, sweet. So that's a cool box. You're also getting the Captain Lieutenant from the Dominus box.
Mhm.
Master Possession is coming up for pre-order. But Kill Team Annual 2023, this has basically everything you need to play
Yep.
Kill Team, all the new rules for all the new factions that they've added, and now they're releasing a lot of those factions as standalone units. You're getting the Felgor Ravengers, which are basically just Beastmen, guys. We don't need these fancy names. Just call them what they are, Beastmen. So you get Beastmen, you get the Hand of the Archon, which is the Drukhari one. You get some Salvagers, which I believe are the Votan dudes with a minigun,
Yeah,
and Inquisitor
those
agents.
definitely both hit.
So you can start using these in 40k, as GW constantly likes to remind us. The rules for 40k are always kind of a little like they're okay. They're not like you have to get them, but the models are cool and definitely add a lot of flavor to your 40k army.
Yeah, I mean, Knight players would argue that the exaction squads are OP.
Oh,
so
yeah, good point.
they're
Good point.
Oftentimes when we find these units drifting over commonly into 40k armies, it's not because of the rules they provide, but it's the access to cheap bodies.
Yeah. You can go to the FLG blog for the full rules previews on all these new Kill Team sets. There we have a nice article there. But yeah, the Inquisitor agents is kind of cool because like I have high hopes, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but I have high hopes that we'll get a Imperial Agent / Inquisitor Codex standalone thing. I really, 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 really want that. But we'll see. I have no inside knowledge about this, but there was one at one point, right, Seth? At one point, there was
there was
that existed.
I think you have to be careful with Imperial agents because there's so many Imperial armies that you could have those attached to. I like the idea of writing a standalone codex because then rather than I take this Inquisitor from this rule set and I go attach him to a codex of a different rule set, you could say, hey, here's the Inquisitor, and then he can take these units, but they might have certain rules or points modifications, like taking Guardsmen or Sisters of Battle or Space Marines, but they might have certain modifications.
Oh, hey, Seth, we got somebody in chat talking to us. What's going on there?
Yeah, Jordy is talking about that they're really pushing a lot of Bretonians for the launch of the old world. So he's thinking that maybe that's going to be the exclusive model. It's almost like I said, it could be like a Lady of the Lake.
Yeah, and we could. I mean, I'd be for it. There was a Lady of the Lake model at one point, right? There definitely was some. Yeah, right. That existed. All right, time for everyone's favorite segment, though. Seth, I know you love this, but Nicky Dee has to talk about it. It's nerd news, guys.
I'll be back.
Yeah, all right. Seth, go get a drink. Nicky Dee, take it away, man. I know you're very excited for something to share with us tonight.
This is everybody's 1 week warning or countdown clock. Yeah. Star Wars Ahsoka on Disney Plus starts a week from today. 2 episodes on release. I am pretty sure that I'll be watching both those episodes first thing in the morning next Wednesday. So I'm very excited. We've talked about it before.
Does your boss listen to this show?
No, he's like watching all this shit.
She does not. No, she does not. She knows I do this every Wednesday night. When I meet with her on Thursday morning, she knows why I'm usually a little bit more tired than most days. That is for sure. But yeah, I will probably be watching Ahsoka because I don't want to wait. I want to see, and we're gonna find out if it's episode 1 that Grand Admiral Thrawn is shown off live and in person. I mean, for anyone who's a longtime Star Wars fan, they know Thrawn. I think he's personally the greatest villain.
He's the blue guy, right? Universe. He's the blue man. Okay.
Yep. Everybody knows Vader. Everybody knows Palpatine. We kind of try to forget Lord Snoke and some of the folks from the newer ones, But I mean, Thrawn to me is a league above every other Star Wars villain. So finally getting to see him live in the flesh is what I'm really excited about.
Okay, so I know
you guys gonna be watching.
Well, you're a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, not to your same caliber. I mean, like I'm huge. Like I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like I name my son like Han if my wife would allow me to, But I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
What about a future daughter named Leia?
I mean, 100%. Hell yes. Like I would do that. Unfortunately, my future daughter that is coming in like 2 weeks, basically, has already got a name chosen. That is not Leia. Sadly,
how much room is there for negotiation?
I'm like, could it be a middle name? Can we go that as a middle name? No, my wife's like, no.
Could even go like Carrie, as in Carrie Fisher, in reference to Leia, right? Like, it doesn't even.
That's good. I don't like if I made that comment, my wife wouldn't realize that was a connection to Star Wars at all. She just let it fly. But I really, really, really did call one of my first RVs a Millennium Falcon for a very long time. And yeah, let's just move on. Seth, but you are not as big of a Star Wars geek as Nicky Dee and I are. but you've seen the hype for Ahsoka because you're in the same geek world universe that we have. Have you seen this hype? Like, are you at all like stoked to see this? Like, is this something you're going to try and see next week for sure? Or is it kind of like, because they're hyping this
I
up
wouldn't
big
have
time.
even known about it if Nicky Dee
Oh
didn't say
shit!
anything.
No way, really? Because
my Star Wars nerddom is very focused to the I guess now 10 movies.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the Solo film.
Okay. Wow.
So the 9 plus Rogue One. That's
Rogue
what
One.
I've seen. That's
Oh
where
my
I'm
gosh.
at.
Okay.
It's not
all right.
one
What
of
about
those. I probably don't know it.
Seth?
Alright.
What about Star Wars Legos? Have you played any of the Star Wars Lego video games or any of those movies?
I never clicked with the Lego video games.
Okay.
The Star Wars Legos as a collector's item, like I think I like them more than the action figures at this point. Just saying. Okay, well, Ahsoka, a lot of hype. Hope it's not overhyped because that's always my fear, right? If they hype it too much, your expectations are not realistic. But you know what are realistic? I was trying to do this transition to be all sexy and sweet and smooth, but it just didn't work. I was going to say what is really hype, worth getting hyped, and is going to be just as realistic as the events that we're going to be talking about right now. But yeah, no, the Frontline Gaming events, SoCal is doing really, really good. I want you guys to know because I'm getting bugged about it a lot. The Frontline Gaming packet, the 40K packet for SoCal should be live next week. We're trying to finish out the terrain rules and whatnot. Now, more importantly, we got to talk about the LVO right here because we have a very big announcement. We've got the LVO Club Pass. It is finally going to be live tomorrow. Yes, you're hearing it first tonight, Wednesday night here in Signals, but tomorrow you'll be able to sign up for this. Now, you know FLG is all about the community, and we are of the community. We're for the community, and this particular thing we're launching is really for all those clubs that are coming in from around the country, around the world to go to LVO. So
now, does this have to be some sort of formal club with like a charter and a uniform?
No, dude. Whether you're a competitive gaming team or just a group of guys that are all traveling to LVO together, just this pass is going to let you check in quickly and get you a bunch of perks. So, like, this is a club, but it could also be a team. It could just be a bunch of your neighborhood buddies. It can literally just be your
play group.
Be your local play group. It could be your brother-in-law. I don't make a difference. There's no real hard definition of what a club is. Okay. But we use the word club because some game systems, because this is not just for 40K, this could work for X-Wing as well. Some game systems have clubs more than they have teams. So we're trying to use a term that is all
system agnostic. You might say.
I mean, exactly right. So
actually, I want to hear you say that because I don't think
system agnostic.
Very good. All right.
I learned good today. All right, there we go. Big word for the day. Thank you so much. I hope I get a gold star at the end of the show. So club leaders basically buy this pass, and it gets them a bunch of perks for their members. So a club leader buys the pass. They get their team club mates, whatever, to sign up for this. Be part of their club, I guess. We have a formal document you'll set up with. And basically, this gets the club leader to go through the VIP reg line at check-in. So they can then go straight to the front of the line, check in for the whole club, and then the whole club can go right into the hall and don't have to go through that long line, which, Seth, I know that line is big. So that will
be quite large.
It will, right? On top of that, the club is going to get this really sweet banner that we're going to be putting in the Hall of Champions. So this banner will have your club's logo on it, and then at the end of the event, you get to bring it home. It's one of those cool pop-up self-standing banners. You'll also get a bucket of beer, and this is the really cool thing we just added in literally yesterday. With this pass, you're going to get access to totally custom club merch at a very special discounted price for you to pick up at the LVO. So if you're coming in from, I don't know, Australia, and you want some sick custom team merch, say objective markers, dice, all that stuff, you'll be able to get it for a very, very special price from Frontline Gaming and to pick up at the LVO. So get your club pass starting tomorrow, which is Thursday. All Yay. Right. Yeah. Seth, I know that you're part of the Vanguard Tactics team. You know,
Yep.
I know Bucks. They're gonna have one of these. So Vanguard Tactics guys will have a little advantage to get in there. Nicky Dee, you got some.
Hold on, Kicker. Are you saying that I can't physically enter LVO until registration begins?
Oh no. You're working, dude. You're supposed to be there 2 days before. Unloading trucks with me. Nicky Dee, you've got.
I was like, am I out of all the pre-event work?
No. You're there, man. Nicky Dee, you've got some. Do you have a formal club on the East Coast, like the Flannel Fans or something? I don't know. You've got to have.
I don't. I've talked with some guys locally for me. I live in the Washington D.C. area. I've talked with some guys about setting up a club. I've been for a couple of years part of Team Battle Brothers.
Yeah.
As well. So usually, like even if I'm at an event, I'm listed as Team Battle Brothers and BCP. One thing I would note for folks. I mean, we all use BCP for events, right? I mean, Kicker, we use BCP for the FLG events, right? In your profile, you can set a team name for yourself, and and you can save different because I know there are some guys like our friend Dean who I saw earlier in chat, who's always got the Tyranids. Like he's part of Mayhem Gaming in North Carolina, so for local events, he'll list as that. At an FLG event, like he'll list as part of Hobby Goblin, since it's part of that crew as well. So like depending upon the event, you can very easily when you're signing in or checking in, you can have that set, so you don't have to update it every time. I definitely recommend that. Makes things a little easier for
And
yourself.
if you were looking for a group in your region, there, Nicky D, I know some extraordinary gentlemen that would have you.
That I do. I know that
Yeah.
they've JC's put on a bit of a recruiting pitch there as well. I may have to have some if I go that way. I may need to have like they need what's the word I'm looking for?
They need to like bribe you. They need some
Incentive.
incentives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
like,
sure a bribe. Yeah,
perks. Yeah,
but
yeah.
like
I
because
mean,
they've
the
got some pretty
incentive is that's the club I started. That's the incentive.
Oh, okay.
You'll
There
join
we
that
go.
club.
What I'm thinking though is like they would need to do a new line of jersey that is like flannel pattern. That's
Oh,
what
there
I
we
would
go.
want.
So
if
they
you
do
want,
so many jerseys. I'm sure you said flannel jersey, and by tomorrow, JC's gonna message you with here's the proof. What size do you want?
So if you want me to join your team, send me a proof of a flannel 40K jersey for the team, and we can get to talking about it. That's the moral of that story.
I've always thought, it would be cool because everyone's doing the team jerseys, and they're almost always like the esports or soccer style jerseys. I personally love like either like the bowling shirts or like the pinstripe baseball jersey look.
Yes. There's a few
something like
teams
that, a little
have
bit different. I understand that those two particular jerseys don't particularly breathe as nicely as like the esports jersey style, and that is important. But also on the same hand, or on the other hand, kicker, it might be better if some of our players' shirts didn't breathe very well to maybe contain. I know I certainly can develop a bit of an odor if I'm having a particularly hot and sweaty day.
I believe the West Coast Corsairs do have baseball pinstripe, and they look amazingly snazzy. I always like the work shirt, like mechanic shirt with your name patch. Like hi, my name's Bob. I don't know. But yes, I think
your name is not Bob. It's Kicker.
It's Kicker. Yeah, I know. But I don't know. I've always liked the work shirt vibe. But you know what? We need a team. We need like the Signals team shirt. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Long story short, though, guys, there's a lot of teams coming in from around the world for many different game systems at LVO. And now those teams have, some perks because they're bringing all their club members. And we don't want them to have to wait in line. We want them to go and have fun. So check this out.
This might be spinning off into our next topic.
Oh, we're doing a tangent here. Okay, cool.
Talking about jerseys, one of the traditions at WTC that I would love to see take off at some other events, maybe like LVO, is teams that do jersey swaps.
Oh,
like they intentionally order extras of their jersey, and then when they're there and they play another team, they hey, yeah, it was a good game, here, have my jersey, trade jerseys, and it sounds like a lot of fun. So there are definitely some different body sizes that have to be taken into account there, but that could be kind of fun.
No, yeah, that would be really cool. I really do want to encourage more teams, clubs, organizations to come because it makes the event so much more fun. When you come to any event, whether it's LVO or a regional event like Cherokee, it's so cool to have your crew show up.
And actually, an important on-topic question here from the Club Pass: is there a minimum number of players that need to be?
Okay, so this is really cool. There is no minimum. Obviously, if you're getting one, so there's a price for the pass, right? So the more people they have, the cheaper per person, I guess, that they're paying.
So it's a flat price for the pass.
It's a flat price for the pass, and then for each additional member, there's a $5 fee. So it's basically, I think it's $150 for the pass and includes the banner and all that stuff. And then you can have one guy and just $5 additional, or if you have 25 guys, and that, it's actually a really cool little system that will allow everyone to basically skip that line and go check in really quickly. It's hard because we didn't really want to take the high rollers are the only ones that have access to the VIP line. So we didn't want to dilute the value of their things. We're actually bringing in another line for these clubs. So they have kind of a special club VIP line. So yeah, it'll be fun. Signal short. Oh, it's time for our signal short. Oh, geez. We're doing that. We'll have 30 seconds to answer a question that I think Nicky Dee is going to be reading to us.
Yep, we will. Just as soon as I actually put up the right slide.
We have a slide.
Multitasking here.
Multitasking. And, we have a designated signals short slide.
Yeah, a little bit for the visual. Nothing sexy, but it works. Inspired by my viewing of John Wick 4 on my flight yesterday. Time is just a contract that we deal with people. But our signal short question for today, guys. Keanu Reeves, if he is going to play a role in a Warhammer TV or movie project, who or what should he play?
I have the answer for this. It's very obvious. He should play Cypher.
Oh,
hooded pistol wielding character.
Yeah,
but I want to point out that in the notes it says Kenny Reeves.
Kenny Reeves. Yeah, I was like, who the hell's that guy? That's okay. Kenny Reeves. This is his brother, less famous brother.
He's less famous.
That's probably who we would get for Warhammer Plus is Keanu Reeves' less famous brother, Kenny Reeves. Okay, so
what if it's just Keanu Reeves with fake mustache on top of his normal mustache? Like
it's Keanu Reeves, but like cosplaying as Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down, like playing in
layers here. We're going layers here. I think Seth, you're pretty spot on. I was gonna go with kind of like a Drukhari character kind of thing. He can be violent, and he's got like he's got like long hair sometimes. I don't know. I have no freaking clue.
I mean, generally as a character, like as an actor, he's not very like he plays stoic characters very well. He's not very emotive.
Yeah.
So, you wanted someone that's kind of like aloof and mysterious.
Yeah, and also good with guns or pistols, which is, Cypher, I believe, has his 2 pistols, right? Or at least, right?
He's got 2 pistols.
There we go. Problem solved. Nicky D, did you have a thought on this? Do you have somebody you thought that you?
No. Kind of same category. My preference would be Keanu Reeves in a Warhammer Old World or Age of Sigmar project. Playing an Inquisitor or Witch Hunter.
Ooh, so, yes.
Basic concept, but I would want him in the more high fantasy realm.
Yeah.
But if we're talking 40K, him playing an Inquisitor, like I can definitely see him dual wielding pistols as an Inquisitor, like going after Xeno sort of thing. So yeah, we're all in kind of the same vibe here. Especially like if this was like in his 20s. Like when he's doing Point Break Keanu Reeves, then I maybe go something for a little bit more high adventure. But like Keanu Reeves,
I am an FBI agent.
We want something a little bit more playing to his strengths, dual wielding pistols, little bit mystery sort of thing. So I think we're all on the same page.
I love it. Seth, why don't you take us into our main segment for the night?
All right. So for those of you that didn't hear from us last week and you were under some sort of 40K rock, this past week was the WTC, which is the World Team Championships of 40K. That started, actually, believe it or not, a week ago Tuesday, and it finished on Sunday because they run both a singles tournament called the War Master and a teams tournament. So it was in Mechelen, Belgium, and it was this year much more visible in terms of the community than it has been any previous year, because they ultimately ended up having 5 streams: a English game stream on War Games Live, a French stream, a German stream, a Spanish stream, and then the Contact Lost group did kind of event-wide coverage in English. So, how all the teams are doing, kind of in between round discussion. So tons and tons and tons of content out there for people to consume, and giving everyone kind of a feeling for what this event is like. Because in the past, I've heard good things about these team events, particularly this one or its former iteration at the ETC, but I've never been able to see it and kind of get the on-ground experience. So let's just talk about the War Masters real quick. It was a 300-player event, which is already like, that's pretty damn good. That's a big event, right, Kicker? 300 player.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
But it was a literal Shark Tank, because it was all the top players from each country that made their country team coming in, and a lot of them were playing in this event before the teams event. There were some players that went over there and played in just that event, but the majority of the players in the War Masters were players that were preparing for the teams event. They might not be playing their list from the teams event, but they were supporting their country team. So we had some really big, brutal Shark Tank going on there. So in terms of final placings, we had Thomas Woback coming in at first place. He's from Austria, and he was running Eldari. Fred Otto out of Germany, friend of mine, he took second place in the finals. He was also running Eldari. If you watch this game on stream, it was all over the place because they took 45 minutes for deployment, Kicker.
Yeah.
And so they're doing all, like, because they're being super, like, basically it's 2 Eldari players. So the first guy that blinks dies.
Yeah.
The first guy that, sticks his little, pointy elf ear out the side of a building is evaporated. So it was a lot of like that kind of gamesmanship positioning. So it was like in the beginning a very slow moving game, and then once they hit like turn 3, it just like they flew through that game.
Yeah.
Trying to get it
So it
done.
was Eldar versus Eldar.
On the finals.
Oh wow.
Third place was our friend Quentin Johnson from the US. He was also playing, can you guess a kicker?
Oh, don't say it. No.
Eldar.
No. Okay.
Yeah, the top 3 were Eldar there in the singles. So reflected by the meta watch data that we've seen earlier, unfortunately they're been overpowered there. We have Alexandra Seiko from France, bringing Chaos Space Marine list that managed to get into 4th place, which is just damn impressive for Chaos Space Marines. And then Innes Wilson of Scotland was he was in the teams event with a Dark Angels list, but for the singles he played Death Watch, took 5th place. And then kicker, a friend of ours who, God bless this man, went over and played in the singles and then volunteered as staff for the teams event. TJ Lanigan from the US went over and managed to take 6th place with T-Sons.
Wow.
Then spent the rest of his vacation in Mecklenburg working for the WTC. So
Can we just take a step back though really fast? How badass is this? We have the top 5. Let's go top 5. Each from a different part of the world. Like that's so cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the only country in the top 5 are all different countries: Austria, Germany, US, France, Scotland. And to be honest, like Alexandra Seiko is not a name I've seen her before, but that's because I'm in the US meta. He's in France.
Yeah.
Not a lot of crossover. So it's really cool to see these players from other countries. Kicker, would you believe that like there is a huge support for the French wargaming scene to the point where I was told the French team had a budget of 5 figures.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
That was funded by the community.
Wow.
Wow. Speaking of teams, the teams are a big deal. These are 8-man teams, not 5-man teams. In the US, we had 5-man team events for the most part, like ATC, the Las Vegas teams event. I think Battle for Salvation is usually a 5-man team event. There's not many 8-man.
Seth, I got to stop you right there. A chat's asking if the French were the team that brought their own chef. Is that a
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But so as I'm saying, 8 players playing, but that's not the whole team. There were teams that brought their own chefs. There were teams that brought their own physical therapists. Kicker.
Wow.
Most teams had multiple coaches, and the coaches provided logistical support in terms of like making sure the players knew where they were supposed to be at what time, making sure they got to the venue on time. So kind of admin support on that end, but also like in the round, making sure you eat and drink. And like bringing you like here, you kicker. It's like bringing you tea when you start getting hoarse at an event. So like there was literally like, I'm gonna make sure you eat and drink and don't fall over. So that like that kind of stuff, as well as actually managing the team in the round in terms of players predicting scores. Which in teams event, it's usually they're using a differential system. So basically, you and I play kicker. Say you win because you have guard and you blew my orcs up.
And I'm really good. I'm just much better than you, so I'm always going to win.
So if you and I, if our final score is within 5 points of each other, or within 4 points of each other, it's a 10-10 draw.
Yeah.
So each of our teams would get 10 points. For every 5 points you win by, it shifts 1 point. So if you win by 5 points, so it's 75 to my 70. It would be an 11-point win for you and a 9-point loss for me. My team will get 9 points. So the worst you can get is 20-0, and that's where you beat someone by 50 points.
Yeah.
So even if you're losing, people are scrapping for their points because they're trying to bring points back to their team. As a whole, your team has to get to 86 points to win the round. If your team gets between 75 and 85 points, you tie the other team. So you get a draw. So their coaches are running around listening to their players. So kicker, you and I are paired up in a team event. You predict I'm supposed to relax Seth because I'm got all this guns. So I'm saying I'm going to get a 15-5 win. Kicker's going to beat me. But mid-round, I connect with like 30 charges, and you're like, oh crap, this game's swinging. You might tell your coach, hey man, I'm not going to get a 15-5. I'll be lucky to get a 10-10. So then the coaches go around to the other players and try to find who has a pairing where maybe they can try to squeeze more points out of the pairing, and then they go tell them, hey, we need you to play more aggressively because kicker's behind on his game, and you got to pick up the points he's dropping. So there's
So
a
I mean,
lot of
how
strategy there.
realistic? And I mean, I'm sorry, I'm so naive, but I really just don't track this. I mean, how realistic is it that a player is able to squeeze more points out of their, like, wouldn't you want to squeeze as many points as that he could? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could
It
play.
depends on the game. So, sake of argument, let's say I'm playing. Let's try to think of a good kind
I
of
mean, I
just
know these are
cast one.
skilled players, right? So I know
Yeah.
that they can do. They have way more control over their game than I would. But I just feel like if your coach is telling you to do better, like, I've already tried my hardest, coach. You know, I mean,
Well, so it does affect play style. So, sake of argument, the U.S. team was on stream. I want to say the 4th or 5th round against Poland.
okay,
And there were 2 games. One of them, the one that we'll talk about, is Custodes versus Custodes. And that was John Lennon playing. And John Lennon saw the opportunity that John could either sit back and play defensive and probably get a small win.
Yeah.
11-9 or 12-8. But if he plays aggressive and teleports a bunch of stuff up and tries to hit some long charges, he could 20-0 his opponent. So when he saw the opportunity, he asked his coaches, hey, I have an opportunity to try to get a 20-0 here. Do we need me to take it? I might miss and I might end up, losing. But if it's, hey, if me getting a 12-8, we still lose as a team, or me getting a 20-0, we win as a team, is it worth it? And so those judges or those coaches can know what's going on the other tables and say, hey, yeah, John, we are behind. We need you to take the risk.
Yeah.
We need you to play aggressive and try to go for the throat and go for the knockout punch.
Cool.
So there are certainly opportunities, but it also depends on your matchup. So if, sake of argument, we pair 8 games kicker, and my team is like 6 of our games are big solid wins, we should be fine. And then you kicker are just like, I'm not going to die. I'm going to roll amazing on saves. And whoever you're playing is like, crap, this is supposed to be an easy win for me. And then kicker's just, his tanks won't die.
Yeah.
They might say to the coach, hey, that was supposed to be an easy win for me, but the dice are skewing. It's not, I'm not going to win this game. I'm drawing bad cards. Kicker's rolling saves like a stone.
Yeah.
He's Stonewall Jackson, aka Stonewall Kicker. So there might be situations like that pop up. And we've all had games like that from an individual standpoint where we're like, this should be an easy win for me, but something happened, or I misunderstood the situation. This player outplayed me and I got caught in a trap, things like that. So there are certainly opportunities there. But this is the part where I've already reached out to the winners of this particular event, and I apologize to them because I'm going, for everyone's fun, try to pronounce every member of the Team Poland players.
So Poland is the winning team.
Yes, Poland won. So Poland came in first place. They are like the powerhouse, the perennial champs. They are 6-0-1. You can talk to Adam Camilleri about all the statistics. Basically, they're the team to beat. They're the team that literally starts prepping for each WTC the day after the last one finishes.
Yeah.
So they are the template for a strong team. And I'll go through their names in a second. In terms of other placings, kicker, USA came in second place.
USA.
They came in at 5-0-2, so they had 2 draws. One of those draws was against Poland, and one of those draws was against Team England. Australia, who was last year's winner, ended up coming in third place at 5-1-1 with draws to Belgium and a loss to France. Sweden came in at 5-2, and then England came in 5th place at 4-1-2.
Cool.
Now, who are your members? I'm going to start off with the easy one. I'm going to warm up with USA.
Okay.
And also, what armies are they playing? Because that's the interesting part. There's a few good armies. If you go back to that metadata, there's 4 or 5 top armies, and you're going to see those repeated. But it's what else does the team bring that sort of shakes things up. So Anthony Vanella on Team USA brought Chaos Space Marines. Eric Forsman brought Gene Stealer Cult. Jack Harpster took a list that everyone was kind of confused about. He took Grey Knights. Jaime Paris took Death Watch. John Lennon on Custodes. My boy, the little war boss, Lucas Troller, was there with Orcs. Max Shutman took the obligatory Eldari. And the captain himself, Sean Naden, took Tyranids.
Wow, we did not see Naden taking Nids. Jeez.
No one did.
All right.
And he won all but one of his games.
Wow. And for those that are not familiar, Sean Naden is a very accomplished Eldari player.
Very.
Played a little Orcs as well recently.
Before things were public, I was talking with Team USA and knew they were working on taking an Orc list, and they wouldn't tell me who the pilot was, and they were like, you should guess. And I was like, I'm going to guess Sean. And they were like, no. It's not John.
Jeez.
Because I knew some of the other players have been working on other armies as well. Now, Poland, I'm gonna be honest with you, Kicker. I've been chatting with the captain, and I apologize to them in advance because I will absolutely butcher these names. Now, importantly, the captain told me that most Polish players have a nickname specifically for the fact that non-Polish people cannot pronounce their names.
That's very
So
nice.
I have inserted nicknames where applicable as a middle name here to give myself a break from pronouncing their names.
Okay, I like it.
So for Poland, they had Jacob Skark Wierchowski, and Skark is one of the longest running players at the ETC and WTC, like over a decade in attendance.
Oh, wow.
And he was playing guard kicker.
Yeah.
Would you like to know which player scored the most points out of the entire?
Yeah, in the guard circles, we've all been very, very proud to see this happen. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of his list. Apparently, it's a lot of artillery, kind of.
Now,
boring.
importantly, I would point out that if this is a man that has been going for over a decade and has scored the most points out of anyone at the entire event, it might certainly be the pilot more than the list.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
but I just like the list was a lot of artillery, and I was like, oh, maybe I can like take that list. No, that list is not a list I want to run. Yeah. He did have hellhounds though, and I'm just saying hellhounds are kind of cool.
From my understanding, he at one point used weapon carriage batteries to score behind enemy lines.
Oh well, that's savvy. That's cool. I like that. I don't
which I'm like, that's just flexing on someone at that point.
I like that. That's cool.
Now our next one is
she's good luck.
CJ Crazy Man Tazinski on Tau. I've been told that perhaps they, in hindsight, maybe didn't take the Tau. Their captain is Pumba Gazikis.
Okay.
On T-Suns. They have Michael Duda on Eldari, which I know everyone calls Duda, so that's nice and easy to pronounce. Thank you, Michael, for making your name easy. Patrick Mason Make on Jeans the Recall. Tomasz Guido Garwoski on Necrons. Victor Schmidt on Custodes. And this one's fun. Lucas Luizo Lazuski on Dark Angels.
Guys, we do respect you guys. We
I'd already reached out to the team and apologized.
He's trying his hardest.
I was like, I'm going to read your names out, but I will butcher all of them, and I am sorry in advance. I apologize to them. I told the US team I'm not apologizing.
Well, mad applause to those guys for winning it. You know,
super excited. And Kicker, here's the fun question I have for you. Are these any names that you've ever seen before?
Oh no, not at all. And it just shows how small our vision, our view is. Right? We look at we look at the USA, but it's a big wide world out there with very accomplished 40K players.
Yeah, so these are super accomplished players that are in the European meta. That I'm hopeful that we can start kind of through the work that Joe did with War Games Live and some other opportunities that might come up down the line, get the bigger spotlight on this international community, because there is so much beyond what we do here in Frontline here in the US to kind of take in and experience. I know personally I'm trying to see if a trip next year to Belgium is in the cards for me. I don't know quite what I would do once I get there, because I don't think I'm of the caliber to play on the national team, but I might, see if maybe they need some help on the support end, or maybe just show up and try to play in the singles and the War Master. But it is this experience for me, just watching was enough that I want to go check it out myself.
Cool.
I know there was a bit of a community poll done in regards to teams.
So we're planning right now to figure out what we're doing for 2024. I know it seems like it's away, but it's not. It's soon, guys. We're working on it. So we're trying to figure out what we want to do in the fall, autumn time of 2024. And one of those things is adding an event. Now, we did do the Las Vegas team tournament in the past 2 years. We didn't have it this year, but what do we do in 2024? So we wanted to see, on the Frontline Gaming community group, we post these polls, and the poll question was teams. Do we do a team event, or do we stay with a single event? And if we do a team event, what size teams do we do? 3, 5, 8 as the WTC is, or do we just make it a doubles format kind of thing? Nicky Dee, do you have the results for us, man? What do people go for?
Yes, I do. So for those that are watching the show and seeing the stream, you can see the poll results. If you add up the numbers, they don't add to 100% because Kicker people kept adding locations as options for where they want to see the event. I will leave it to you to scout out those locations as potential options. But far and away, though, the option that was most popular, and again, this FLG, largely US-based events, US-based players for those. most of the votes were for 5-player team.
Teams.
Was for a 5-player
Yeah.
team event.
Cool.
Seth, you already referenced it. Most team events here in the United States are based on 5 players. So, WTC is 8 players. That had a lower percentage of the vote. 3-player teams also not huge in terms of the numbers that are there. People still want to see singles events. There's other options that are there, but definitely some strong opinions for folks wanting to see more team events that are here in the U.S. and having expansion.
I'm definitely interested in giving teams a shot again as a player. In the past I've had some mixed feelings about teams. I may have said that I think it's bad for the community, but I'm willing to give it a shot again. I'm interested. I want to give it a try. I'm talking to some folks about making some things happen. So from talking with Joe, because I've talked with Joe a bunch about his experience over at WTC. There's a strong argument to be made for 8 over 5 because of usually how the meta shakes out with like 5 usually top armies. So when you do a 5-man team, you end up seeing a lot of the same 5 types of armies again. It's when you expand to 8 is when you start seeing some of those weird choices, like between the Poland and the US. There was a fair number of repetition, but US didn't have Guard. Poland didn't have orcs. US didn't have Tau.
It just gets logistically challenging, though. I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of friends, but I don't know if I have 8 people that I'd want to count on.
And that's
to go
the
to
balancing
an
act.
Yeah.
Definitely 5 is easier to organize than 8. I know, from personal experience with 5-man teams in the past, sometimes it's even hard just to get the 5 to the event. Sometimes you got to find fill-ins there. So that's the balance. Is it more army diversity because of a larger team, or less army diversity but easier to field a team? And I'd say the poll pretty clearly shows that the community wants it to be a 5-man
community
event.
wants 5-man team events. Cool. Seth, why don't you take us into the Frontline entertainment news? What's going on across the network?
So I wanted to announce last week, I made a little shout out to our friends over at the Fury's Finest MCP podcast. The Fury's Finest have now officially joined the fray as a full-fledged affiliate. I was working with them today. We're going to be getting their links set up. So if you're into some MCP podcast audio content, go check those boys out. Jesse's a great guy. I had a nice, good chat with him recently. They're definitely have their eye on what is happening in the competitive community of MCP right now. So that's super cool. I've plugged them before. I'm going to plug them again. Go back and watch Joe's coverage on from War Games Live on WTC. I know that was a labor of love. I, Kicker, have streamed 3 days consecutively before and felt like I was going to collapse.
That's a lot. Yeah.
He streamed 6 days in a row.
Get out of here.
6 days. Adam Camilleri commentated for 6 days straight and still had a voice. I don't know how. So go check him out. Now, our friends over at Grim After Dark, they took a little bit of hiatus because their producer Dickie got kind of sucked into WTC and he wasn't around. So, they're back from their hiatus. That's about it from the entertainment news. Community spotlight. Before we get into our community hobby progress, I do want to share our condolences here from Frontline Gaming. Some of you, particularly the folks in the Texas meta, might have heard that a prominent member of the meta, Viet Nguyen, who runs a painting studio called Sensei Swag, he's at tons of events. He unfortunately passed away this past week from an unfortunate accident. The Texas community is kind of organizing a community wake for him. So if you want to be involved in that, reach out to Clifton Russell. He's kind of the point person there. So we're very sorry to hear about his passing, and I did want to make a mention of that tonight. With that being said, we do want to celebrate some painting because Viet was always about living life to the fullest and doing ridiculous paint jobs. So I thought let's pull up some paint jobs to kind of honor him. Our first up is Jordy, who's in chat tonight and told me his name is Jordy, not Gerode. So Jordy Murray has Boba Fett themed knights here, Kicker.
Oh, those are nice. I'm Nicky Dee's got to appreciate these, right? I mean, they're not Mandalorian, but same kind of race, I guess, right? Same race.
Yep. Yeah. Up next, we have Nathan Sims rocking some Tau Tetras. Nice little quick and easy color scheme there. I love it. It pops nicely. David Chips is showing off his work in progress for the Best of the West entry. This is an awesome kit bash of a model, because that is, I think it's the Magos, but that is definitely like a power halberd from either Death Watch or Custodes. So that's pretty cool kit bash. And as always, those little scenic diorama characters always look amazing. I threw this one in there because I knew you would appreciate a kicker. Dale Dominguez is working on some Rough Riders.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, of course, kicker loves his cavalry. Dean Pritchard from chat, he's always working on more NIDs from his classic sunfish colored Tyranid scheme here, because I always have to pick a new sea creature for his NIDs to be named
Sea
after.
anemone. That's the next.
And we'll hold on to it. And then finally, last week we saw one BFG model. But what if we had Shane McNear give us 3 different sets of BFG work in progress photos? So that is pretty exciting to see that Shane here has managed to get not just one, not just 2, but a whole collection of models up and going.
3.
I really I want to see him play a game. You have to tell us how your first game goes, Shane. So
I got really excited because I was expecting Roll Doll's Big Friendly Giant, not Battlefleet Gothic, but I will accept.
What about Doom's Big Effing Gun?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's good too. That's good too.
All right,
Nicky Dee, man, have you gotten any hobby progress that you've seen recently? Because I know that you see, like, Seth and I are both like Southeast. We've got local players that do really cool stuff down here that we see. You got to go to scouting mission for the East Coast. We got to get like Adam over on the West Coast to get us some close up photos of friend stuff. Are you going to an event this weekend? Are you doing anything fun this weekend? No,
not an event this weekend. I am going to Nova, but I've got a couple weeks. And I will have
Nova. You're on photo duty. You're on photo duty, all right?
We're putting you to
I
work.
will. I'll be in person. I do have some painting I need to do this weekend and the next couple weeks to prepare for Nova. I think I have my list locked in. Spoiler alert, folks. No surprise here. I'm sticking with Chaos Demons.
All right.
So I have a few things that I need to paint, and then I did. Seth, I got my tickets to see Oppenheimer this weekend.
Nice.
So I'm going Friday afternoon. I've actually got a half
need text message updates.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, I've got a half day work on Friday, so I'm going to see a matinee showing on Friday for Oppenheimer.
And when do you get your Barbie tickets?
That part to be determined.
Yeah.
That is going to be. I might go this weekend. I also might go see. You guys know the band The Offspring? I might go see Saturday night.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, you're about to have a daughter. This would be an educational film for you. I think you should go see Barbie.
Barbie. Oh, geez. Yeah, no, I don't know. I will be going to a tournament this weekend. I'm extremely excited to go play. I've been working my horde of guard, and I'm really, really excited. So either that or my wife will be giving birth to our child. I don't know, whichever comes first.
Whichever comes first.
If we have the baby, I'm not playing the tournament apparently, but if the baby can stay
I
in there
can't
for a little
believe that. That seems like a very logical thing to do, Kicker.
We'll see. What about you, Seth? What are you doing, man?
I'm preparing for a work trip. I leave one more day of work here, and then tomorrow or Friday I hop on a plane and I'll be gone for a week. So I think that's about it for tonight. Any final thoughts for the evening, boys?
I'm just realizing that, Kicker, if you got a kid coming early, it's just going to be me sitting here by myself next Wednesday.
Yeah, you're doing this by yourself next week. Yeah.
Hey, Chad, if someone wants to be a backup, chair for Nicky Dee, let him know.
In a host. You know what? My wife is extremely supportive of what
Kicker,
I do.
Don't you dare! I will. Nope. I will find a way to stream from a hotel room on a laptop.
Holding an infant with a bottle. There we go. I can do that.
No. All right. Well, we thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Singles from the Frontline. Have a great week, and we will see you hopefully next Wednesday with Kicker and Nicky Dee.
Good night, guys.